Okay, Madam Clerk, please call the roll of the Public Safety Committee. It is committee hearing. It is roughly 6:12 on June the 29th.
Alderwoman Davis. Alderwoman Howard. Vice Chair Tyus. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderwoman Boyd. Alderman Bosley.
Here.
Alderman Oldenburg.
Here.
Alderman Orion.
Here.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Here.
Alderman Page.
Present.
Chairman Vaccaro.
Present.
6 present, you have quorum.
And I'll just take a look. Okay, so Alderwoman Shemaine Clark Hubbard, you want to go ahead and talk about your board bill? What is that? Board bill number 46, right?
47.
I'm sorry, what's that?
47.
47, I'm sorry. 47 committee substitute. You want to introduce your substitute?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I would like to introduce Board Bill 47 and committee sub. This should be in everyone's drive. It was into the drive prior to the meeting.
Okay, so we should take a vote on the committee sub being introduced.
Okay, I make the motion to introduce Board Bill 47 committee sub.
And I'll second that motion. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis. Alderwoman Howard. Alderwoman Tyus. Alderwoman Spencer. Alderwoman Boyd. Alderman Bosley.
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg.
Aye.
Alderman Orion.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Alderman Page.
Aye.
Chairman Vaccaro.
Aye.
Aye votes.
Okay, Alderwoman, you're recognized there. Let us know what the changes in the committee sub, what changes were made.
Well, thank you, Chairman Vaccaro. There were some immediate and intentional changes that came in the committee sub as a result of the discussion that came last week, that we had last week in the Public Safety Committee. So I just want to start out by thanking everyone for taking the time out, thanking everyone for this good faith effort to work collectively on this very important legislation. Just want to take a second to dispel some of the things that I've been hearing in the community, because again, a lot of people are chimed in on this. I started last week by saying I wish we were in a world where we didn't even need this, right? And this is legislation that we're working hard on that we pray we never need because it's reactive. But the reality is we need it. It's necessary. There are boundaries that have to be laid. Last week in our hearing, I don't know if it was missed, but one of the speakers said, and I quote, they don't condemn excessive force when it's not appropriate. That statement right there shows that this kind of legislation is necessary. I was speaking with different people in different branches and stakeholders in this work. The term uncivil treatment was used. So while we say excessive force, they have a term uncivil treatment. All of these things happen, right? They happen. Unfortunately, they happen. They've happened over the years. They've happened before we started this work. That's why we're picking up the baton and continuing this work. And that's why these kind of things are necessary. So with that, I can answer questions. I want to thank our Director of Public Safety, Daniel Eisen, for taking the time to be on here this evening. That we are here to listen. We want to move this legislation forward, but we want to be intentional and collective in this, right? Because the reality is none of the things we want to accomplish in this work will happen without communication. Transparency doesn't happen without communication. Trust doesn't happen without communication. So fighting for communication is one of the biggest keys in this legislation, I feel like. And that's why we have been we're on our second hearing for this. I wish we could get it moving, but we want to make sure again that all voices are heard and that everybody feels included in right civilian oversight. So we are here to listen this evening, as we did last time, discuss. I have my pen, I have my different things printed out so I can mark copies. So we're ready to listen. I don't know if Dr. Isom had any opening remarks. If not, I feel like we could just go ahead, since we did start with a little bit of delay, go ahead and listen to our speakers at this time, Chairman.
So Dr. Isom or Matt Broman, I'm sorry. Do either of you have anything you want to say before we get this kicked off?
No, Mr. Chair, I don't have any comments. Like the Alderwoman said, I'm here to listen and respond if people need some further explanation.
Okay, and I didn't hear from, I don't know if I see Matt. That's okay. We're gonna go down the list here and move things along. Madam Clerk, if you would time people, we want to hold you to that 3 minutes. There's a lot of speakers, but there's not really a lot. There's 6. Everyone in favor, so I mean, somewhat repetitive, and 1 letter in opposition. So if you would keep time, and she'll kind of give you a warning. Can I get everybody that's going to speak to raise their right hand and turn your mics on and your pictures on? And would you swear or affirm that you're going to tell the truth? Just say yes, I guess.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I haven't heard anybody say no, I'm going to lie, but we do this anyway. It's part of the deal. Okay, Reverend Gray, you're first. You got 3 minutes.
But thank you very much. I'm Reverend Darrell Gray. I'm the executive director of Missouri Faith Voices. It is a statewide social justice organization, interfaith group. And I'm also the pastor of the Guysborough Road Greater Fairfax Missionary Baptist Church, which is in the 3rd Ward. And I reside at 4358 Enright, which is in the 18th Ward. On behalf of the Missouri Faith Voices organization, I'm here in support of Board Bill 46. We want to thank the Alderwoman for moving this far. We want to thank the chairperson for his involvement in crafting this. I was part of many discussions with Alderman Vaccaro, your chair, in the crafting of this legislation. And at this time, we felt that between Alderman Vaccaro, the mayor's office, and community representatives, that this was a good thing. It moves our city forward. It moves most of the functions of the AID out of the police department. We were really concerned about that. We're glad this is happening. It moves criminal justice investigations to the circuit attorney. It creates a fully staffed and professional investigative team. So there are a lot of definite positives to this. There are some concerns that we've raised, many different organizations, that we want to make sure that goes into this bill. We want to make sure that it guarantees that investigations are significantly civilian. Police can still be used as investigators, but as non-specific entities. We're a little bit concerned that civilian investigators are not sufficiently removed from past police employment. I know that this is something that has been discussed in previous hearing. And I guess one of the bigger things are that it doesn't seem, and I might be wrong, it doesn't seem to completely make this civilian with the new division of civilian oversight.
1 minute left.
It's still under public safety. It's still under the public safety director instead of being an independent department. And it does not require, although it is implied, that the circuit attorney will be in charge of the scene of police shootings. We want to make sure that that is clear, Mr. Chairman, that the circuit attorney is in charge of the scene. And it doesn't allow for the city attorney to ask for delays and professional standards. We see that as somewhat problematic. All in all, we think it's an extremely good bill. We know it's going to help in police accountability. It's going to help in bringing back public trust. And for those reasons, Missouri Faith Voices supports this, and we applaud the Public Safety Committee. We applaud the mayor's office. We applaud Alderwoman Clark Hubbard for moving this forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to go down this a couple and then we're going to go to the letter. So Khatib Wahid, and I'm probably messing that up, but are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Yes, sir. And I probably messed your name up. If you want to give us the right pronunciation, that's,
No, you did fine.
did I? Good.
Yes, you did fine.
You don't have to tell us your address, just if you're a city resident and if you represent yourself or an organization.
Yes, I'm actually representing the Office of the Circuit Attorney on behalf of Circuit Attorney Kimberly Gardner.
Okay.
So I hope that I have a couple of extra minutes to make my comments. Madam Chair and Co-Chair, am I confined to the 3 minutes like everybody else? And if so,
I mean, I'll give you a little extra time.
Okay.
The issue is that we want to make sure everybody has a chance to speak.
absolutely.
We don't want to lose a quorum, you know, because some people have other meetings to go to. If we lose a quorum, we learned earlier that we can't vote on stuff, so.
Sure. So let me greet everyone with the words of peace, and to say that that greeting of peace is a welcome and a prayer, if you will, that everyone is safe and healthy and managing the difficulties of public life and personal life. We want to thank the mayor, our Mayor Tashara Jones, and key members of her administrative staff, including Public Safety Director Dan Isom, along with members of the Board of Aldermen and Alderwomen, the sponsor of this Board Bill 47, Shamim Hubbard, Clark Hubbard, as well as a number of residents, victims of police excessive force, public organizations, activists, and other residents who've come together to draft what we think is a pretty strong bill. We do recognize that it is a work in progress, but it's a very good start. I want to give a quick Quranic context to how we look at this work. And the verse basically says, "O ye who believe, stand firmly with God as witnesses to fair dealing, and let not the hatred of others towards you cause you to swerve to wrong and depart from justice. Be just, for that is next to piety, and fear God, for he knows all that we do." So first of all, next I want to just say that we have 3 areas that we want to speak to very quickly. One is the issue of accountability. The second is public trust, or building public trust. And then the third one is the need to dispel this negative narrative about our office being overzealous in the pursuit of holding police officers accountable. With regards to the accountability piece, we appreciate that this bill recognizes the authority and of our office to hold police officers criminally liable and accountable, but also creates a structure for us to do that. And we see this as a very good start in making that happen. But the exercise of that authority does not mean that our office is anti-police. We are not, and I repeat, we are not anti-police. We are pro-public safety and justice. And so we clearly recognize the need for law enforcement officers to protect this democracy that we have here in this United States. But whenever our criminal justice system fails to indict and prosecute violent offenders, civilian offenders, and law enforcement officers, then the public's trust in our criminal justice system becomes more eroded, and the ability to establish and sustain public safety becomes extremely compromised. So the creation of this public integrity unit, which is built into this bill, gives our city the capacity to increase public safety, reduce harm, restore and or establish the public's trust to uphold the law by holding every citizen and resident, including law enforcement officers, accountable whenever there's a real or perceived threat. Pardon me?
That was 3 minutes, the chair.
We're We're gonna give him a couple more to finish up. He's actually, he shouldn't have been on the speaker list. He should have been on the Alderwoman's expert testimony list, I would have guessed.
Thank
But
you.
we're gonna give a couple more minutes there.
Sure, thank
and then we'll move on.
The second thing is about restoring or establishing the public trust in law enforcement officers. Some of the data that we're aware of raises the concern about this. And we know that since the death of Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown and Eric Gardner and George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, that the public scrutiny with regards to how police operate in certain communities has increased. Locally, according to St. Louis Metropolitan Police data, there were 79 officer-involved shootings between 2014 and 2022. Nationally, according to the Washington Post, police shot and killed at least 1,055 people nationwide, the most since the newspaper began tracking these shootings, and that is more than the 1,000 that occurred in 2020. We know that Black people account for 13% of the population, but 27% of those who are fatally shot and killed by the police. That means that Black people are twice as likely as whites to be shot and killed by police officers. The city of St. Louis ranks number 1 among the nation's 100 most largest cities with fatal police-involved shootings. Roughly 36 out of every 100,000 St. Louis residents are shot and killed by police officers. We do not view every police officer as being the one who would commit these often tragic acts. But we do recognize that there is a culture within law enforcement that makes it very difficult for well-meaning and well-trained officers to speak out against those acts. Thirdly, in terms of the false narrative, we do seek to be data informed, and so I've made references to that. Our objective is really to dispense justice within a diametrically opposed public narrative, where one end of the spectrum fears that we will do too much in the areas of indictment and prosecution, and others fears that we will do too little. It is undeniable that the anxiety levels around these issues have increased over the years, but we are committed to doing what is right, what is within the appropriate standards of due process and upholding the law. And we appreciate having the opportunity to do so through this public integrity unit. Lastly, there is no evidence that I'm aware of that would suggest that we would be overzealous in the prosecution of those who deserve to be prosecuted. And we certainly don't think that everyone who uses force is guilty of excessive force. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. And yes, I would hope this is not, you know, I think it's good for accountability. I don't think the police intentionally go out to shoot anybody. They don't wake up that morning, but I do think that overlooking everything is not a bad idea. So anyway, I'm sorry, I'm gonna move down the list here. Joshua Lawrence, and again, if I screwed up, you can correct me. Oh, there's your dog. I don't see you. There you are.
Hey, can everybody see and hear me all right?
Yes.
All right, cool. Yeah, sorry. Joshua Lawrence, he, him, his. I live in Ward 20. I'm pro this. That was Bruno. Him and I, we don't really talk policy, but I'm sure he's for it as well. I just want to, thank specifically Alderwoman Clark Hubbard for, as well as public safety, for having this meeting again. I know I did send in written testimony before that was not read, but I do just want to reiterate that I do support this bill, primarily because it does really two things that are the bare minimum of civilian oversight, which are having disciplinary powers as well as automatic investigations. I think those are two things that are currently lacking in our current civilian oversight board, that if we were able to do that, they would have so much more power. But with that, I also want to make sure that I show solidarity with the folks that testified before about making sure that it is truly independent. We do need to take the city councilor and the police out of it. No matter what anybody says, no organization is truly capable of holding themselves accountable. That is through experience of looking at other cities. It's also experience in my own life with a killing that happened on the block just as I moved in. I was there and police who investigated it didn't even talk to me. And the fact that they don't do that regularly when they discharge weapons is frightening and something that we really need to be pushing for when we are talking about what is fair. Is, are we actually talking to everyone who was involved, or are we just taking the police's word of it? With that, I will also just say that we need to make sure that with the Civilian Oversight Board, we are also hiring people as quickly as possible. It didn't come up a lot during the budget meetings, but the fact that the public safety director said that there was one current employee of the Civilian Oversight Board who is there 40 hours a week is really alarming. And it's something I think about a lot more than, frankly, I probably should, because it just shows that how seriously it is taken. So I applaud that, I hope this bill is going to go through. Everybody who has stepped up in support, thank you. But we need to make sure that after it's passed, we follow up and make sure it actually goes into effect. Thank you.
And I believe the hiring and the money is in the budget, which just got signed today. So that's maybe why you didn't see people being hired. It wasn't in the old budget, but it is.
So it is, yes, it is in the new budget. But at the same time, with the personnel department, there have been a lot of hiccups in hiring folks. And that's just one thing I want to make clear with it. Thanks.
Oh, no, well, thank you. Tammy, you're up. We talked
Good
earlier.
evening, everyone.
Yes. Good evening.
My name's Tammy Bufford. I'm a resident of the 25th Ward. I'm here to testify in support of Board Bill 47. I feel like this is a very good first step in order to holding police accountable and getting more trust back into the city. I'm here because my son, Cortez Bufford, was first brutally beaten by 8 police officers back in 2014. And then he sued in a civil case and won, and then was told by the police that he would have a target on his back. Then on December 12, 2019, he was killed by Officer Lucas Roethlisberger. The officer decided to become the judge, jury, and executioner on that evening. There was an investigation done by the FIU, but there has been no resolutions, no findings, no determination. So I feel like the police cannot be trusted to investigate themselves. Evidence get trampled over. We should have a civilian oversight who goes out to these investigations and conducts the investigation so that the evidence can be preserved properly and investigations can be completed thoroughly. St. Louis has the highest rate of police killings than the top 100 cities in the US. And St. Louis is not a large city, so that's alarming. And from 2009 to 2019, the police have been involved in at least 69 deaths of different people. And then also from 2009 to 2019, at least 18 people have been killed or died in police custody in the Justice Center. Since the creation of the FIU unit, there has been 20 investigations, but again, none of them have gone to any determinations by the circuit attorney, internal affairs, or the Civilian Oversight Board. So I feel like we need to get those reviewed by civilians, and all the bad actors will get prosecuted during this time. I support this bill as it stands, but however, I do feel like there is a few changes that need to be made. Police officers should not be involved in the investigation, because otherwise then we have the FIU, which has shown that they are not committed to thoroughly investigating these cases. And then also in the reporting, we should not be redacting the officers' names. Those names should be in the report so that we can see who these continuous bad actors are. Thank you for your time. I hope that you guys approve this board bill, and let's get moving and get this city back on track. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Tony Taylor, you're up next.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tony Taylor. I'm a resident of Ward 2. I want to speak tonight in support of Board Bill 47. In my personal opinion, this police accountability bill has been long overdue. That's why I strongly support this is a major step towards a new St. Louis City. On April 24th, 2013, when Jason Chambers and Timothy Boyce decided to be judge, juror, and executioner by shooting my firstborn son, Kerry Ball Jr., making him the 130th person life to be ended by police violence, along with him being the 503rd person in Missouri. St. Louis Metropolitan Police Department has an alarming rate of police killings by population by any police department of the 100 U.S. cities, according to Mapping by Police Violence. As police officers and correctional officers should ask themselves, why is excessive force your first choice in de-escalating a situation? That's aggression. As a grieving mother, I'm asking that you guys be objective with your critical thinking before opposing this bill. I understand that everyone wants to make it home safely. That's why the division of the Oversight Review Board, a separate department for professional standards investigation, not inside of the SLMPD, would help ensure everyone gets home safely. Along with a bill like this,
1 minute
to
left.
pass as a form of showing real accountability, transparency, and to create public trust in the city of St. Louis. If the SLMPD has never been held accountable for any wrongful deaths, I see no reason why everyone shouldn't support the bill. My concern is that some language do leave open room for the city council to work against the family. My concern is that some of the language in the bill do leave room for the city council to be able to work against the family. So I thank you all tonight for listening to us. I am in support of Bill Board 47, and I just want you guys to be objective when you come up with your opinion tonight and approve this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Last on the on the speakers, and we're gonna have one letter read, but Jamila Rogers. Jamila, are you with us? Jamila may not be here. I don't see her in the list on the side. So we're gonna move on from Jamila. That'll end all of our speakers. Madam Clerk, we have one letter that comes from Sergeant Mickey Owens. He's the president of the St. Louis Police Leadership Organization. I'm sorry. He wanted to come and speak, but he sent a letter. And Madam Clerk, would you please read the letter?
Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard. Please accept this message as opposition to Board Bill 47. The St. Louis Police Leadership Organization represents members from the rank of police sergeant up to police commissioner. I want you to know that the members that I represent do support oversight and believe oversight in the right form provides transparency, which we strive to support every day in hopes that it will improve our relationship with the community that we serve. It is our belief that no new ordinance is needed. A civilian oversight board already exists, although it hasn't been properly funded or staffed. And the current oversight board, if the current oversight board is allocated properly and allowed to perform as it was designed, it would be effective in conducting oversight of the police division misconduct investigation conducted by the Internal Affairs Division. We have several concerns with the current writing of Board Bill 47. Number one, detachment of commissioned officers from the police division to the civilian oversight board. Who from the police division would this affect and how long would this attachment last? Number two, civilian oversight board investigators shall have limited history of employment as police officers. Don't we all want the best highly trained and experienced personnel conducting these investigations? Number three, civilian oversight investigators detached from other agencies. What other agencies? City, state, federal, or other police agency? Number four, lead investigators shall have no experience as a police officer. Number five, investigators responding to the scene of an active criminal investigation collect statements from officers. Number six, anonymous complaints conflicts with the Missouri Officer Bill of Rights. These are just a few examples of issues that are concerning to my members. We certainly understand why some of the public believes that police officers should not investigate their own. But the fact of the matter is, Internal Affairs Division of the Police Department has over the last several years undertaken a cultural change under the leadership of Chief John Hayden, Inspector of Police, now Acting Chief Michael Sack, and Internal Affairs Commander William Brown. This resulted in officers being disciplined or terminated from the police department for misconduct at a higher rate than ever before. This is no accident. Speakers that support Board Bill 47 have testified that the oversight has a rubber stamp misconduct investigation. That can't be further from the truth. The number of sustained complaints speak for themselves. It is no secret of the mistrust that the members of the St. Louis Police Department have towards the Circuit Attorney's Office, who can't even address the issues of giving victims of violent crimes their day in court. Therefore, for that office to be primarily investigator of a police officer involved incident is downright frightening. It is the St. Louis Police leadership belief that Board Bill 47 in its current form will create an avenue for lots of civil litigation concerning officers' rights and integrity of any investigation conducted by anyone who lacks extensive training and experience in the field. The biggest concern is Board Bill 47 would encourage officers to disengage from the community because the officer is having second thoughts about engaging in self-initiative contact with the citizens or visitors to the city of St. Louis. The St. Louis Police Leadership Organization is certainly willing to join in a comprehensive discussion concerning ongoing efforts of oversight involving investigation of police misconduct. Respectfully, Sergeant Mickey Owens, President, St. Louis Police Leadership Organization.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to him too, because he took the time out to speak to not just me, but some other people that are helping on this effort. So I thank him for taking the time out to send that correspondence after our conversation. I wanted to make sure that Mama Jamala is on here. I see her on the attendee list. I don't know if there's a way she can be moved to the panelists. She's the 314 number. The only 314 number that's on the attendee list, or would she need a link sent to her?
No, I can move her over now.
Okay. All right.
And Alderwoman, just curiosity, Last we talked, the association and the Ethical Society of Police have not reached out or talked to you about this bill, is my understanding.
No, that's not true. Since
Okay.
we talked, yes, since our last meeting, at our last meeting, we hadn't connected, but since then, both, Jay Schroeder from, the POA and I have talked to Sergeant Walters from, ESOP. And, so the conversations have been had. I did tell them, about this meeting, but I guess scheduling, didn't permit for them to come on this evening, but they were supposed to be, well, Jay said that he would send some, he had some correspondence that he wanted to send to me. I haven't received it yet.
Okay, I just seeing if everybody's reached out to you and you know what your pleasure is on this. So did we move over Jamila Rogers?
I think I was able to do it.
Jamila, you
Yes, I'm here.
Where's your picture?
I am on the phone.
You're on the phone. Well, you can hardly have your picture on the phone. Oh, go ahead. You gotta go with your 3 minutes here, okay?
Okay, this is Jamala Rogers. I'm representing the Organization for Black Struggle. We certainly like to thank Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard for her leadership on this bill, as well as the other co-sponsors. And so we are encouraged by what we see. I would also just say the Organization for Black Struggle has been a part of this decades-long struggle for local control of the police department and the establishment of the historic Civilian Oversight Board. At the time that we enacted that in 2013, we already knew that there was needed to be some changes after we saw the implementation. And so now that is where we are now. So again, we've been encouraged. Some of the other past speakers have talked about the good things that are in the bill. So I'm going to skip over and emphasize what we think are the important aspects. And that is that we think the committee, as well as the city, has to be very vigilant about the undue influence of the police department in the investigations and in the overall process. This has been a disaster overall in terms of creating community trust. And so I think if we look at independence of the body as well as independence of the process, we will find that it will be more effective. So those are the two words I want to emphasize: independence and effectiveness, because that's what I think we need to be fighting for. This objectivity means that the involvement of people who have less law enforcement backgrounds will not have implicit biases in the real world impact of how they perceive and the information and data that you will have to assess during these investigations. We believe that Board Bill 47 is on the right track to building on the lessons that we've already learned from the Civilian Oversight Board and the concerns of citizens to create a safe community that starts with the accountability of the public servants who carry deadly weapons. So we thank you for the opportunity tonight to voice our opinions, and we will be supportive any way we can in terms of data, information, and additional folks who experience, police misconduct or police.
1 minute left.
And so we stand, as I said, ready to support the Alderwoman and her efforts around this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. That ends our speakers. What we're going to do is we're going to go through the committee and see if anybody new's come in. The vice chairwoman, she's out tonight. Also, Alderwoman Davis sent something earlier saying she could not make it. Alderwoman Howard is in another meeting. I don't know, Chuck, did you join us? Alderwoman Kara Spencer. Alderwoman Pam Boyd. Okay, Alderman Bosley, any questions for the sponsor comments?
I don't. I'm just looking forward to this passing. I do want to say this for the police officers that are out there and the individuals that are kind of on the flip side of the opposing side in general. We work very, very diligently as alder people and community members that live in the communities that we are alder people over to try to figure out how to bridge these gaps. It's hard. Being a police officer is hard. Being a community member is hard. Being a alderman is hard because you're dealing with people's emotions. And every single time that, you're dealing with somebody else's day, or, you have the jurisdiction or authority to stop someone, have a conversation with them, force some type of human interaction, there'll always be differences in the way people see things, perceive things. The intent of today is to keep it balanced. For those officers who go home at night and maybe go to the county or go to St. Charles and other places, you don't have your badge on when you're driving, right? And I'm sure plenty of you all have went to other states and you keep your badge with you, and you probably have had instances where officers wasn't as cool as you are. That's what this legislation is for, is to protect you when you don't have that badge on. It's to protect you as a citizen and ensure that all of us who are not just me as an alderman, same person, right? Who has some sort of an authority. We just want to make sure that there is some oversight to that. And, this is not to bash these public officials who are these police officers who we hold to a certain standard. This is not to say that they've done so bad that we got to do something about it. This is just simply saying, as a community, as the city of St. Louis in general, we're doing what we can to ensure there is some balance to the oversight that's needed, just as they ask for balance to the oversight in the Board of Aldermen and any other entity where there's power over people. So with that, we appreciate the officers that are out there every single day doing every single thing right. And we don't want you to walk outside and feel like you have to step on eggshells. We don't want you to walk outside and feel like you can't adequately do your job because this is oversight board or these things that are out here that we've talked about on these meetings here for the past few weeks are something that will prevent you, the good person, from doing a great job when you are out there protecting these communities. There are very, very good officers and there are very, very bad ones, truth. So for the officers that are out there doing a great job, we appreciate you. For those community members that are not afraid to be like, it was the red car. It was, I'm snitching. We don't give a hell who he is. I'm telling. We appreciate you all at the same time because we have to make sure that there is some sort of a balance to us all being humans. We're all humans with positions. And once we get 90, once we get 100, there's no 100-year-old police officers out here in the city running around locking folks up. And I don't believe there's a 100-year-old alderman either, or a 100-year-old firefighter. We all will pass these positions to somebody else one day. And when that baton does pass, all the individuals who are not in those positions, just like when I'm not an alderman, I'll be looking to ask whoever the alderman is, can you help me out with this or that, whatever it is. We are setting up the stepping stones or the pathway for the next individual who'll take these positions and do more with them that we have the ability to. So, with that, there is and will come a time where there will be different types of technologies and different uses in the police department. And this will be something that could potentially, as us sitting here today, we've already been ahead of the wave saying, hey, we got oversight over that already. So, once again, I just want to make sure that the officers out there, the people know, everybody who is watching this isn't targeted. This isn't about us saying we're on this side or that side. We are humans. And our job to legislate is to legislate for human beings, not dogs, not trucks, not cars, but for those individuals that will be driving those cars, those people who will be walking those dogs. And we all will fit that category one day in some form, shape, or fashion. So when you're not an alderman, you're a civilian. When you're not a police officer, you're a civilian. So from the civilian standpoint, and individuals who are civilians out here that just want a simple balance, that's all this is intended to do. And for those great officers out there who may in any way, form or fashion feel mentally that this is targeted because of there's a movement around the United States for reform or this or that, that's not what this is. We do have problems. We got problems in the board. We have problems with the grass being cut. We got problems with the police. We have problems with firefighters. We got issues, and that's okay. That's what the world is about, is us solving our issues and figuring out what we can do to handle our ability to amicably come to solutions or to situations or to the table and handle things in an amicable way. So, with that, I'll yield, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say to everybody out there, and especially our officers and those individuals who have been hurt by our officers. There's two sides to every story. And us being smack down in the middle, we're trying to figure out where that balance lies so we can ensure the next time that these stories are told, it's a little bit more clarity and more clarity and more clarity. We ain't gonna never get it 100% right because there is no real right. There is a continued, assertion for everybody to just evolve. And that's all we're trying to do is evolve our board, evolve our laws, and do what it is that we can do to be the best people that we can be at this time. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, every member of the community. For those who may not be thinking about voting for this, folks that are opposed or against, or for. Once again, it's the balance. We all are human, and we're trying to figure out what is the base of our humanistic behavior when it comes down to us looking at situations where authority has to be placed or in place. And what does that authority look like? And how do we oversee the authority, whether you're an officer or an alderman or anybody else, but this is specifically about officers. So thank you all.
Thank you. Alderman Tom Oldenburg.
No, I have nothing, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Alderman Brett Narayan.
No questions. Thank you.
Shameen, it's your bill. So let's go to Alderman James Page.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I'll be very brief. I just want to take just a moment to acknowledge the citizens, the business owners, and the police officers who came to me expressing concerns about this board bill. I will say right off the bat, this board bill, like many others, it's not perfect. It is a work in progress. It is an attempt to move us forward as a city toward accountability for all involved. That's what it is. But I just wanted to get that acknowledgement out there. We will continue to work to perfect this bill and this oversight process. But just wanted to acknowledge people who brought counter opinions to me who may not have spoken them publicly. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I yield back.
Thank you. And I really have no comments. I mean, I know that Dr. Dan Isom, we had worked sort of on this. One of the concerns, and correct me if I'm wrong, was we did have the civilian oversight for the police. And one of the things that the head of that said is they completely did not get any cooperation, which kind of made something like this become more necessary. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But you may have to turn your mic on to do it.
Yeah, I don't know that that's completely accurate, but I do think that with the additional authority that this bill gives the Civilian Oversight Board and the commissioner, that will not be in doubt because they have the authority to do first instance investigations, have subpoena power. And so whatever confusion about what authority one group had over the other will be resolved in this legislation. Mr. Chair, also, if I will, I'd like to make some additional comments on some of the, so I really would like to bridge what Sergeant Mickey Owens said with what Alderman Boyd has suggested. You know, Mickey states that the investigation of officers have improved with the leadership of Chief Hayden and Colonel Sack, more so than years in the past. And so what that suggests is that we need consistency of integrity and honor in that position in a sustainable way. And what Alderman Bosley said is also that when we're gone, we need to make sure we set systems in place that will continue to have that transparency and that integrity in the system. So in a sense, both are saying the same things. And I think that's what this separation, this independence gives us, is that that continuity in the type of integrity and transparency we need. The second thing I will say, and this is the Circuit Attorney's Office, I know Khatib sort of mentioned the data, but the data in the time that the Circuit Attorney has been in office does not suggest that she is has overemphasis on prosecuting St. Louis police officers. So the data doesn't suggest that she's done that in her tenure. And I believe that their investigations will be thorough, but be very honest and straightforward. And then the final thing I will say is that from a personal perspective, certainly I do trust the police. I've been in the profession for many years, and it's certainly the reason why I trust the police is one of the reasons why I think we can turn over investigations to an independent organization, because I think even when an independent organization looks at the police department, in most cases, they're going to find that things were done appropriately. And when they're not, they will take the appropriate steps.
Thank you, Dr. Isom. So Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard, what's your pleasure? Do you want to try to move this, hold it? It's your pleasure.
I see that Alderwoman Boyd has joined. I didn't know if she had any comments, and also I want to acknowledge Commissioner Brumman has joined as well. So just wanted to open that up before.
Okay. Alderwoman Pam Boyd, did you have any?
I have no comments. I'm just listening.
And Commissioner Brumman, any thoughts or words of wisdom? Or are you just kind of hanging out with us?
I just joined in. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer them.
Okay. So Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, it's in your, we can hold it, vote on it, whatever you'd like to do. It's your call.
Well, what I will say a couple of things, again, how important these conversations are, how important being open and honest, transparent, talking through this. I think my colleague who's worked so closely with me on this, Alderman Narayan, said last week we were making the sausage, right? So we're still working through this, and I want to be intentional with how we move forward. Of course, I would love, especially with all the work and all the commitment that so many have had already to put in this, I would love, but I think that noting that, the percentage of detachment changed specifically because of conversations that came out of this, right? There's some other changes that need to be made that I could have gone through and maybe done an amendment or something, or floor stuff, but I would rather do it this way in committee, which is how this was designed, which is where this is where designed some of these kind of changes to be made. I want to separate something really quickly that's been said a couple of times and make sure we're clear on this. The civilian oversight is reactive to bad police, well, for lack of a better word, bad policing, right? Uncivil actions, I think was the word. I lost it for a second, but so the notion that this is some kind of policy against good police makes no sense. We all know that if you're a good police, then you won't be this won't impact you. If you're doing good policing, if you're out here doing what you're called to do, which is protect and serve, which is what we're all called to do to some degree, then this won't impact you. So the notion and the narrative that this is just against the police, I want to dispel that, and I want to continue to speak against that, because that's not the case. And all of us have relationships, personal, family, work relationships with officers that they know that is not, they know that's not the case, because they just honestly don't feel that way. So I think in moving forward, we should make, I don't know what your availability is, Chairman Poirot, for a meeting maybe next Thursday, because there are a few changes, and I would like to get the information, give the opportunity and the information, this additional opportunity information to come from the other entities involved. Now, it's a week away, over a week away, so.
Okay, no, it's your bill, and it's up to you how you want to move it. I will say it. we've heard public testimony. I don't know that we will have any more spoken public testimony on this unless this is drastically changed. You know, unless you really feel the need to want to have more public testimony. So it's really, it's your bill and you're, you know, you're in control of it. So it's your pleasure. So it sounds to me like you kind of, Madam Clerk, can you send something to Terry? Can't think of what, but to Terry Kennedy to please schedule a meeting for next Thursday or Wednesday. Generally, we do Wednesdays for this committee.
The only reason I said Thursday was because of the holiday. You know, I wanted to, if possible.
No, so Sharita, if it's possible, can we have a meeting next Thursday then? And we can announce that tomorrow. And I'm not the one that sets the meetings, you know, the clerk is, so. Did you get a response from them offhand or?
No, I'm just looking at our schedule online. We have a HUD's meeting at 9 a.m. So what time are you thinking?
Let's, if HUD's goes, let's do, how does 1 o'clock Thursday work for everybody?
I will definitely let the clerk know.
Does, Alderwoman, does that work for you? It's your bill.
It works for me.
Okay, well then, at this point, oh wait, here, there's already a meeting scheduled next Thursday. He just put it in the chat. Let's see here, what was in the chat? There's already a meeting scheduled for next Thursday. Is he talking about a public safety meeting?
It's one scheduled July 6th, public safety at 1 p.m.
And that's next Thursday?
That's next Wednesday.
Okay. He's got it here. It says there's already one scheduled, meeting scheduled next Thursday. He's got in the chat.
Let me make sure. Yeah, July 6th is on a Wednesday.
Okay, he may have, would that be all right with you if we did it on Wednesday, if Thursday doesn't work?
Let's see which one works and then we'll formally announce it tomorrow.
Okay. Other than that, I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening with us. And I'll now take a motion to adjourn. Do we have one?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, just say aye.
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 And we are adjourned until we meet again. Your happy trails to you. No, I'm getting, anyway, we'll have an announcement on when that meeting is tomorrow. Thank you.